A murder motivated by a bad GPA from an AB sort of student? What's going on here? I need some experts. Joining me tonight in Los Angeles, California, forensic psychiatrist, trial expert, witness, and columnist of Inside the Criminal Mind, Dr. Carole Lieberman is with us. Thank you both. Dr. Carole, let me start with you. I don't know, GPA as a motive to take the life out of someone with a baseball bat in a murder that is alleged to have been planned and plotted, like they were stalking her to see where she hung out, when she was there, they knew when to pounce. Those are the allegations, presumed innocent. Your thoughts about the mind of a teenage boy who's so worried about his GPA that he would think murder is the solution?
Yes, this is very abnormal, really. Most teenagers who are killing people are not worried about their GPAs. But, I don't think it was just the grade. He had this meeting with her, and apparently she wasn't going to change his grade. And I think it was perhaps more that he couldn't get his way. It seems like he wanted to get his way, particularly perhaps with a female figure, like, getting his way with his mother. So I think that was a big part of it. And, he gave this excuse. I don't know that this is going to be like what the mother was saying about they made me sign this and so on. I mean, it didn't really seem, it seemed like they could have done a better job of informing her. But at the same time, there is so much that points to the guilt of him that I don't know in the end whether that's going to make a difference.
Yeah, well, if you suppress all the evidence, that's the best chance you have, right? They don't get in any of the evidence. That's where they're going here, because the evidence is very persuasive. His Snapchat communications.
Yes.
So this is a signal, though, after a murder, an alleged murder. Dr. Carole Lieberman, is it possible to spot signs that a young teenager would be capable of killing? Is there a way, things that we should look for as red flags that, hey, okay, maybe some intervention here, maybe some professional help?
Yes, absolutely. For example, even though technically you have to wait until age 18 approximately to diagnose a personality disorder, such as sociopathy, certainly there are signs that you can see leading up to that. For example, if there are other things that they do that are somewhat sociopathic, like cheating on tests or taking drugs or hanging out with a group of kids who, have a record already, who have been stealing things or doing criminal things already, you can look at their social media and see warning signs there. It's so amazing, this trend of teenagers doing crimes and boasting about it on social media. Now, okay, we're talking about before this crime, but
I'm trying to look for those signs before there is a victim.
Yes. So, of course, there is the triad, bedwetting and setting fires and cruelty to animals. Perhaps he was showing some of those signs. Lack of empathy, really, he seems to have this haughtiness, this idea that he deserves an entitlement, a sense of entitlement. So that's part of it too. And how far is some teen going to go to get what they think they're entitled to?
Yeah, but you start talking about entitlement these days. I mean, Aiden Fucci back in court today, looking a lot different. Not going to help him at trial. Dr. Carole Lieberman, we were talking about how to spot someone and what are one indicator would be if they say they're going to murder someone.
Yeah.
But how do we convince young kids, peers, to report this type of stuff? I mean, you got to remember what it was like to be a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old. It's almost like you don't want to be the one tattling on someone. You don't want to be, and was he really being serious? Was he just kind of joking? You know what I mean? It's a tough spot to put other young people in, but they're the ones who are there who may actually have the information.
Yes. That certainly if someone, these days, especially if someone starts talking about it, you have to kind of try to evaluate, but I'm sure he gave off other signs too that all was not right. And yes, he may have talked about how he wants to kill somebody, some strange or random person, but clearly picking this girl, there must have been some sense that either she did when they were talking, and they argued supposedly before this happened. So perhaps he was asking her, to go out with him or to be his girlfriend or something, and she said no. And so rejection certainly would be a big part of it. But the problem is, the underlying problem is that for teenagers, they play so many violent video games that the distinction between reality and fantasy is so blurred. And so when people talk about, I think I want to kill somebody, they're killing, many of them are killing people all the time when they come home from school and they play violent video games. I was the head of the National Coalition on TV Violence, and I testified before Congress several times about the impact of violent media on people. So I know what I'm talking about. It really does cause an increase in aggressiveness at the very least.
Dr. Carole Lieberman, his mother, we've got a mugshot of her, Crystal Smith. She's accused of tampering with evidence by cleaning his jeans, the blood off of his jeans, and there's some surveillance video of all that we can just roll out. But your thoughts about being the parent of someone accused of something as horrific as this. What is that like for Mom?
Well, of course, a mother would, on the one hand, have feelings of wanting to protect their child, even if they did something bad. But this was, it's interesting looking at their house. It's so disorganized. It's so, I don't know, did he have, were there it looks like there were lots of other kids living in there. Perhaps he was filled with rage. The 114 stab wounds show that this is a kid who is filled with rage. And clearly some of that rage had to come from his childhood and perhaps towards his mother. But she was somehow trying to protect him, or trying to not have him be arrested, convicted of this crime. But, really, if she was undoubtedly that way as he was growing up, as far as overlooking things, until it finally got to be something that was as horrendous as murder.
Absolutely. Dr. Carole Lieberman, Dr. Robbie Ludwig, and Lauren Prater, great to have you on the show tonight.